أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب ربنا إنك جامع الناس ليوم لا ريب فيه إن الله لا يخلف الميعاد صدق الله العظيم. Inshallah, we continue with verses number 8 and number 9 of Surah Al-Imran. The verses we discussed yesterday. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala spoke about the two different types of verses that Allah ta'ala had revealed in this Quran. One were those verses that Allah ta'ala Himself has termed as muhkamat, those verses that were explicit or that are explicit, very clear in its meaning, and the other that is mutashabihat, that are not as clear, that are ambiguous in their meaning, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has kept that away from us insofar as understanding it. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has spoken about the two different attitudes with regards to the mutashabihat. One attitude will be of those people whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala described their hearts as zayg. There is a crookedness in their hearts. It sways away from Allah ta'ala, that they would pursue these verses of the Quran Sharif, and their ultimate and their intention would be ibtigha al-fitna, searching and looking for corruption. Now continuing from there, our Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam had stated that whenever we come across those people that are looking to interpret these mutashabihat, these verses of the Quran Sharif, whose meaning is ambiguous, it is not clear, then we should not remain in their company, we should move away from them. These advice that Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam had given us is with regards to the protection of our iman. Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam then describes the second group, وَالرَّاسِخُونَ فِي الْعِلْمِ, the rasikhun fil ilm, those who are grounded in their knowledge, those who are well embedded in their knowledge. يَقُولُونَ آمَنَّا بِهِ, their first quality is that they say that we believe in these verses. So one is the absolute belief in the Quran Sharif. That is our first obligation to the Quran. And then of course the second obligation will be to learn the meaning of the Quran Sharif. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in His knowledge, in His deep wisdom, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has kept it such that there are those verses that we will understand the meanings very easily. There are those verses which the jurist will be able to deduce masail from, and then there will be those verses that no one will be able to take out the meaning, and hence we will have to bring iman in that, and that is what Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala wants from us. So rasikhuna fil ilm, no matter how deeply rooted knowledge may be in a person, whether it be from the Arabic point of view, whether it be from one's deep knowledge of the hadith of our Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in the various sciences of fiqh, but all that put together, a person will never be able to understand these mutashabihat, and that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not want the understanding from us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants iman from us. The second is kullum min indi rabbina. Here is a kind of surrender. Whether the verses are clearly elucidated, whether it is explicit or whether it is ambiguous, there is this surrender that a person surrenders to Allah ta'ala, and he says all of this is from our Rabb. And Allah ta'ala then says, وَمَا يَذَّكَّرُ إِلَّا أُولُو الْأَلْبَابِ. And the third is this, that none takes heed but the people of intellect, the people of understanding. So these are three things already that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to derive from the Quran. One is to bring iman, the second is a surrender, and the third is to take heed. Then going further is to make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That when a person has brought iman in this Quran, when a person has surrendered to the Quran Sharif, the wisdom and the knowledge of Allah ta'ala, and a person has taken heed, then it should not be for a temporary while. And then secondly, a person does not pursue this Quran Sharif and the knowledge of the Quran Sharif for any other motive but for the akhirat, but for sa'adat, and of course success in this world and success in the hereafter. And hence Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself teaches this dua, Rabbana la tuzigh qulubana ba'da idh hadaytana. O Allah, do not sway our hearts after you have guided us. The word again, la tuzigh qulubana, in actual fact will refer, in its original language, will refer, O Allah, do not make our hearts crooked after you have given us hidayat. Do not sway our hearts from the path of the Sirat-e-Mustaqim after you have given us hidayat. In other words, keep us on the straight path, keep us on this path of guidance. Secondly, وَهَبْ لَنَا مِن لَدُنْكَ رَحْمَةً, and O Allah, bestow upon us from your side rahmah. Ulama have expressed what is the meaning of this rahmah. This rahmah refers to tawfiq. This rahmah refers to the divine guidance that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala increases us in guidance to continue to pursue our amal, our actions. Some have stated that the darknesses of our hearts be removed, and O Allah, bestow in our hearts the nur, the light of your guidance continuously. Allama Qurtubi rahmatullah alayhi has written a kitab, Tadhkiratul Maut, and in there he has elucidated very, very beautifully and highlighted this verse, and the important message that he has conveyed is all of us should have one important fikr and concern, and that concern is that we live this life on iman, in the itaat and obedience of Allah Ta'ala, and we leave this world on iman and in the itaat of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. Over there he writes that one important factor will be to continuously make dua to Allah Ta'ala, not as a ritual, not ritualizing this ayat, but to understand, to contextualize, to understand the meaning of this ayat, and then to make this dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, seeking from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that after Allah ta'ala has given us hidayat, that Allah ta'ala keeps us on the straight path. Allah ta'ala continuously gives us the tawfiq so that we can remain on the straight path, and then we leave this world also on the straight path. Our Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam, now he was the fountain of hidayat. He had come to guide others, but yet our Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would make this dua, Ya muqallib al-qulub, thabbit qalbi ala dinik. Ya muqallib al-qulub, O the turner of the hearts, thabbit qalbi ala dinik, keep my heart firm on your deen. Our mother, Sayyida Aisha radiyallahu ta'ala anha, she once commented to Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam that how often do you make this dua? That just gives us an idea that how much Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam himself would make this dua. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said to her that the hearts of each and every individual is in the control of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That person whose heart Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keeps straight, in other words, on the Sirat-e-Mustaqim, then that person will be straight, he will be on the Sirat-e-Mustaqim. And that person whose heart Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sways, then of course that person will be swayed away from the straight path. Innaka antal wahhab, O Allah, innaka antal wahhab. Here again there's an emphasis, O Allah, it is only you who is al-wahhab, who is the bestower, who is the giver of all things. Rabbana innaka jami'un nas. O Allah, you are the one who gathers mankind, liyawmil la rayba fi, on the day about which there is no doubt. Now here, again, our hearts are directed towards the hereafter, that what is the objective of all of this? What is the maqsad? What is our aim? And what is our motive about acquiring knowledge, about pursuing the knowledge of the Quran and the hadith of our Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam about deen? It is all about sa'adat. It is all about success and emancipation on the day of Qiyamah. That tomorrow when we stand on the day of Qiyamah, then we are successful. And here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is turning our hearts towards all of that. Some Mufassirin have put it very beautiful, that, oh Allah, tomorrow on the day of Qiyamah, you are going to gather all the souls and all of mankind, the good and the bad, and you are going to bring them together. Oh Allah, gather all the knowledge also in our hearts in this world, so that tomorrow on the day of Qiyamah, you will gather us amongst those who are your pious servants. Inna Allaha la yukhliful mi'ad. Certainly, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not violate. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not go against, or Allah ta'ala does not break His promise. In other words, Allah ta'ala's promise is that Qiyamah will come, Allah will gather us, Allah will resurrect us. May Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala keep us in this world with Iman. May Allah ta'ala take us with Iman, and may Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala resurrect us on the day of Qiyamah in a state in which Allah ta'ala is pleased with us, and Allah ta'ala emancipate us on the day of Qiyamah. Subhanallah wa bihamdi, subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik, nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk.